independent integrity, objectivity, those things we discussed. Professional skepticism, professional judgment, and sufficient appropriate audit evidence. These are the requirements, except the ethical requirements, balance part we have not covered. We will discuss after completing this standard relating to the agreeing the terms of audit engagement. After completing the standard, we will move on to the balance part of the SLA US 200. I hope you can hear. Can you hear?
Yes, sir.
Board. What about board? Can you see this board? Good. Today's session, SLA US 210. Agreeing the terms of audit engagement. Sometimes call this standard relating to uh, audit engagement letter or letter of engagement. So, what do you think about this standard? As you know, the uh, two main parties involved in the field of audit. One is auditor and auditee. So, before commencement of work, audit work, both parties, the auditor and client mean auditee, should agree some terms and conditions. What are those terms and conditions? For example, audit fees, audit scope, audit objective, type of reports to be issued, certain matters. What are the auditor's responsibilities? What are the auditee client responsibility, management responsibility? Those things, before commencements of audit, both parties should be agreed. Those agreed terms and conditions should be in writing. This is the basic about the standard. So standard provides guidelines how to prepare this letter of engagement. What are the contents of this letter of engagements? Right? What are the purpose of this letter of engagements? Major contents, other contents also there, right? So those matters given in the standard. So when you write or prepare the letter of engagement, auditor is not possible to prepare in his own way. So these prescribed formats and guidelines are given in the standard how to prepare the letter of engagement, right? So these are the main aspects about this uh, uh, the standard. So we'll see what are the matters given in this standard in addition to this. some terms given in the standard are important. The preconditions for an audit. This paragraph number 5, for the purpose of this Sri Lanka auditing standards, reference to management should be read hereinafter as management and where appropriate, those charged with governance. So this the reference should be made by the management or those charged with governance. Both are same. Those charged with governance means the governing body. For example, university's governing body is a council. The company's governing body is a board of directors. So those are the governing bodies of management, right? The precondition for audit. First, you should know in the standard preconditions for an audit. What are the preconditions for an audit? Second, we have to discuss uh, uh, agreement on audit engagement terms. What are the terms and conditions should be agreed between both parties? That should be we will discuss. Mm. Then form and contents of audit engagement letter. Form and contents of audit engagement letter. When when relevant, what are the points could also be made in the letter of engagement? These are the basic form and condition, form and contents. In addition to that, when relevant, what are the points to be included in this letter? Then audit of components, uh, preparation of letter of engagement for the audit of components. Components means group companies or branches. If it is a one company, within the company there is a group, one head office and branch. So that for this purpose, separate engagement letter is to be needed or not. That is depend on the certain factors that is given in the standard. Then recurring audit. Recurring audit. Engage, letter of engagement for recurring audit. Recurring audit means if you auditor is appointed not only for the particular financial year, for the forthcoming years, 2023, 24, 25, the recurring audit. That is called recurring audit. Auditors are not changed. So in this case, whether the fresh engagement letter each and every financial year, whether the fresh engagement letter is needed or not, that is depend on some conditions. So the recurring audit, in the case of recurring audit, how the letter of engagement, is it necessary for the fresh one or new letter, or the earlier letter is enough? So that that is depending on the certain factors we will discuss, right? So these are the then specimen letter. Also, you should know how to prepare this. Example of this letter of engagement also given in this standard. So you must familiar, the audit firms or auditor should familiar how to prepare the letter of engagement, terms and conditions should be agreed based on the terms and conditions. Letter should be prepared based on the guidelines given in this standard. So for the examination purpose, professional examination, sometimes examiners ask the students to prepare the letter of engagement. Sometimes there may be errors in the letter of engagement, so you may ask to correct it. So these are the type of questions, and basic questions also tested. We'll see. These are the areas we are going to cover in this standard. One is precondition for audit. Second one, agreement of engagement terms. What are the terms and conditions should be agreed between auditor and auditee? Then form and contents of engagement letter. What are the main contents of this engagement letter? Sometimes auditor, the examiner directly asks from you, discuss the form and contents of the letter of engagement. Or list out the contents of the letter of engagement. So you should familiar with this form and contents of this engagement letter. Then, when relevant, in addition to this form and condition, when relevant, what are the points could be included in this letter, right? In the letter of engagement. Then, in the case of components, if there's several companies within one company that is consolidated or group companies, that what is the how to prepare the letter of engagement? Separate or one letter is enough. That is depend on some factors. Then recurring audit, how to prepare the what are the factors needed to uh, issue the new engagement letter in the case of recurring audit. Otherwise, terms and conditions are same. Unless the terms and conditions are changed, some conditions, you need to give a new engagement letter in the case of recurring audit. Otherwise, earlier letter is enough. Right? These are the matters we are going to discuss in this standard. Right? We'll see. The preconditions for audit. In order to establish whether the precondition for an audit are present, the auditor shall determine whether the financial reporting framework to be applied in preparation of financial statement is acceptable. So preconditions, what we discussed in the last class, the auditor should, main objective of the audit is auditor check and see whether the financial statements are prepared in accordance with financial reporting framework. So according to this, the preconditions for audit, preconditions for audit means the financial statement should be prepared in accordance with the financial reporting framework. The detailed explanation is given in the A2 to A10 paragraph A2 to explanatory notes, right? We are not discussing that one. The financial reporting framework that is explained in the financial reporting framework, determining the acceptability of the financial reporting framework. Those matters are given in detail, right? General purpose of framework. Those matters are given in detail, right? So the first precondition, you should know that detail you can refer the detailed paragraph from 8.2 to 8.10. But one preconditions, right? The financial statements is should be acceptable, right? Applied in preparation of financial statement, right? Whether finance according to the financial reporting framework. The one precondition is financial statement should be in accordance with financial reporting framework. That is one condition, right? The second condition, obtain the agreement of management that it acknowledges and understands its responsibility, right? The number one, for the preparation of financial statement in accordance with the applicable financial reporting framework, including where relevant, their present fair presentation for such internal control as management determine necessary to enable the preparation of financial statement that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. That is a management acknowledge their responsibility. That is also a precondition. Management acceptable their responsibility. What is management responsibility? What is management? What are the management responsibilities relating to this standard, the preconditions? The preparation of financial statement, who's responsible? Auditor or management? Students, you should answer. I don't know whether you can hear me. Preparation of financial statement, that responsibility is rests with the management. Then preparation of financial statement should be applicable financial reporting framework. That is their responsibility. That is given in the paragraph 15 in detail, right? The responsibilities of the financial statements comply with financial reporting framework. That is the management responsibility. They can't depart from this responsibility, right? So that is given in explanation is given in paragraph 15. That is a fair presentation. That financial statement should be fairly present, right? Then second condition under this, the management responsibility, that the internal control system, that designing and determining the internal control system relating to the preparation of the financial statement also. But why this internal control system? Internal control system ensure the financial statements are free from material misstatements, right? Due to fraud or error. To ensure that financial statements are free from material misstatements due to fraud, to ensure that internal control system to be adapted by the management. So that is also management responsibility. That is under this second one. Management accept their responsibility. What are the management responsibility? One responsibility, the preparation of financial statement. How preparation of financial statement should be according to the financial reporting framework. This fair view should be shown. The second one, determine the internal control system. right? This internal control system ensure the financial statements are free from material misstatement due to fraud or error. So these are the management responsibility. And this is second precondition. That is B. Third precondition. Auditors' rights. Relate into auditors' rights. What are the auditors' rights? Before commencements of audit work, clients should understand this. Unless otherwise, it is after commencements of audit, there may be a problem between auditor and auditee. That's why these preconditions should be aware, both parties, auditor and auditee, right? Should be understand. The third precondition to provide the auditor with access to all information of which management is aware that is relevant to the preparation of financial statement such as records, documents and other matters. Client can't refuse to give some report, records, documents or information, right? So this should be precondition that auditor should provide all right to access all information relating to preparation of the financial statement, such as records, documents, journal, vouchers, everything, other matters, included other matters, everything he is entitled to access, right? B, to provide audit with additional information that the auditor may request from the management for the purpose of the audit. Additional information. So, additional information, whatever the informations necessary to carry out audit or for the purpose of giving an opinion on the financial statement to come to a conclusion based on the evidence. So whatever the additional information needed, right, other than the financial statement information, any additional information, so that should be provided by the management to the auditor. The third one, unrestricted access to person within the entity from whom auditor determine it necessary to obtain uh, unrestricted access to persons within the entity from whom the auditor determined it necessary to obtain audit evidence. He can access unrestricted. No, there is no edit limitation or restriction you can't put. Sometimes management maybe put a restriction not to ask from the employees this information. You can't restrict. That is why unrestricted, barrier, unrestricted access. Access means you can peruse or you can check everything, right? Or unrestricted access to person. If the officers, employees, right, working in the auditing institution, auditor is entitled to access those persons. They can ask to the right to ask any questions, right, or call any information or explanation, determine it necessary to obtain audit evidence. වික්න සාක්ෂිය මොනවා හරි ඕන නම් ඒක auditor entitled to get those evidence, right? For the purpose of obtaining audit evidence, auditor can access any person, unrestricted access. So these are the three preconditions, right? These are the three preconditions. If you are put any restriction or management say you are unable to check these records or documents, what will happen? Management says the auditor can't check this, cannot check this books or records or the safe or inventory or anything. What will happen? That is called scope limitation. Scope means whatever the auditors carry out the audit procedures to obtain audit objective. That is called audit scope, audit coverage, right? Scope is limitation comes, that is a problem that will affect the auditor's opinion. Right? These matters we'll discuss later when we're discussing audit opinion. Limitation of scope prior to audit engagement as acceptance, this should be avoided, right? So if you are giving all rights to auditors, right, to access all information, unrestricted access, there is no scope limitation. Otherwise, this scope may be limited. Limitation arise. Scope limitation arise means unable to obtain audit evidence by the auditor, unable to carry out necessary audit procedures, right? So those will affect the audit opinion, right? We'll discuss later in detail, right? That is on audit opinion, that 705, that standard. So I hope you all thoroughly understand what are the preconditions for the audit, right? According to the standard, three preconditions. Finances statement should be prepared in accordance with the financial reporting framework, right? Then other one is the management responsibility. Management should accept their responsibilities, right? That is financial statement preparation is their responsibility, right? Financial statement preparation according to financial reporting framework. Second one, determine the designing the internal control system to ensure the financial statements are free from material misstatement due to fraud or error. That is also management responsibility. That is precondition for the audit. Third one, auditor's rights. So clients should understand or clients should aware the auditor's rights, right? Auditors are entitled to access all information, documents, records, and uh, 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 necessary for carrying out this audit procedures. Second one, additional information to get the audit evidence. Third one, access to any persons necessary for the audit or for the informations or explanation, even for the obtaining audit evidence. Right? These are the preconditions for it. Right. I hope you all understand this precondition for audit according to the standard. Students?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. We'll move on to second one. Right. Uh, Before we move on to this uh, agreement of audit engagement terms, I left one paragraph. The first paragraph is objective. That is, I objective, right? First one objective. The objective of the auditor is to accept or continue an audit engagement only when the basis upon which it is performed has been agreed through establishing whether preconditions for audit are present and confirming there is a common understanding between the auditor and management and where appropriate those charged with governance of the terms of the audit engagement. These are the objective of this standard, right? Uh, Two objective of this standard, right? The auditor is to accept or continue the audit engagement, uh, to decide whether can accept or not. After accepting, he can continue this audit or unable to continue, depending on these factors, right? These are the objective of this standard. One is establishing whether the preconditions for audit are present. That is one objective. These preconditions are present. Second, confirming that there's a common understanding between the auditor and management, and where appropriate, those charged with governance of the terms of the audit engagement. Second of the objective is standard. This is main objective is to understand the terms and conditions, right, related to the audit, confirming. So the main objective of this standard is through this standard is that through these terms and conditions, confirm that common understanding between auditor and management or those charged with governance. Unless otherwise, these terms and conditions are not there, there may be a definitely misunderstanding. Terms and conditions should be determined before commencement of audit. Otherwise, management will say you are not done, auditor is not done. For example, scope. Scope clearly Tanagan the terms and conditions determine Karnakota, scope clearly determined. Otherwise, management will blame the auditor. This work is not done. Likewise, audit fees properly determined in these terms and conditions. These are the fees. These are the basis of charging the fees. After commencement of audit, there's a misunderstanding. Auditor sent a bill 1 million for audit fees. So client management will misunderstand. So second objective, determine the understanding between auditor and the management or those charged with clients relating to the terms of the engagement. These are the two objectives of this standard, right? Now we'll move on to terms. So in simple words, examiner asks, what are the purpose of this term letter of engagement? This establishing the avoiding misunderstanding between the client, the auditor and client, and establishing the preconditions for the audit, right? Uh, that is this is a terms and condition in written form. All the verbal matters should be recorded in the written form. Any legal problem comes, it is easy to, any disputes comes between the auditor or client managements, easy to sort it out, solve these problems. That is why terms and conditions to be in writing, right? So to be understand between both parties, right? So these are the objective of the letter of this standard. Second one, preconditions for audit. Third one, we are going to discuss here. Here that definition also there, you can understand. The preconditions for audit means the use by management of an acceptable financial reporting framework in the preparation of financial statement and the agreement of management, and where appropriate those charged with governance to the premise on which the audit is conducted. This is the preconditions for audit. The definition is given, right? The preconditions we discussed, right? Now we are discussing agreement on audit engagement terms. What are the terms you should agree between auditor and auditee, right? Right. That paragraph 21 given in detail, it is the, we'll see the paragraph uh, 20, 21 and 22, 25. Right. After completing this, we'll come to the paragraph. Subject to paragraph 11, the agreed terms of the engagement shall be recorded in audit engagement letter or other suitable form of written agreement and shall include. So it should be written agreement. Why it should not be a verbal agreement? If it is a verbal agreement, you can't get a legal remedy, right? Even the every marriage agreement also that is should be registered. That is in writing, right? So the legal like that. This is both parties agreed some terms and conditions should be in the form of written, right? Written agreement. Uh, in the written agreement, what are those? I will discuss later also contents. In the written agreement, you should know what are the matters should agree to both parties, auditor and auditee. What are the matters should agree? One is objective and scope of audit of the financial statement. In the letter, we can clearly, I will show the letter, the objective of audit, we can clearly inform to the client. Otherwise, client expect every fraud, every errors will detect by the auditor. So this is educating the way of educating the management or client. These are the objective. These are the scope of the audit of financial statement. That is a one term should be agreed upon both parties. The second term, the responsibility of the auditor. That the paragraph is given in the engagement letter. What are the auditor's responsibilities? Planning, performing audit in accordance with the Sri Lanka auditing standard, and reporting. So also other responsibility also, in addition to that audit report, some other reports are needed by management, letter of weaknesses, so that internal control letter, that is called any deficiencies pointed out by the auditor that relating to the internal control system, separate letter sometime maybe expect from management. So those matters also sometimes responsibility of the auditor, right? These are the main responsibilities, also agreed terms and conditions. Third one, responsibility of the management. You are very well known. What are the responsibility of the management? Preparation of financial statements in accordance with the financial reporting framework. These financial statements should prepare true and fair view and present these financial statements. In addition to that, management is responsible for designing the internal control system of the organization to ensure the financial statements free from material misstatement due to fraud or error. Right, and in addition to that, some other responsibilities also there. We'll discuss later. Then fourth terms should be agreed. Identification of applicable financial reporting framework for the preparation of financial statement. This is actually financial reporting framework is based on the circulars or legal requirements. If it is a university financial statement based on the university circulars and university provisions given in the University Act, right? So banking institutions, the Banking Act or other directives given by the central bank. So you should identify the terms and the terms of condition when you prepare the letter of engagement. You should clearly identify the financial reporting framework for the preparation of financial statement. Then reference to the expected form and contents of any reports to be issued by the auditor, and the statement that there may be circumstances in which the report may differ from its expected form and contents. Any references to audit reports that should be that matters given in detail, right? Some reports are expected from the management in addition to the audit report, right? Which a report may differ from its expected form and conditions. Some expected form and conditions, some other reports may be that is called management report. Sometime management replies our audit queries, auditors audit queries issued. Audit queries means whatever the problems or issues asked to explain from the management. So management gives some explanation. Based on the explanation, auditors draft a paragraph. Based on the draft in the management report, these are the risk rate. These should be how to rectify or recommendation should be given. So those matters also. In addition to that audit report, any other reports should be given. That matter also given in the terms and conditions. Fourth matter, so fifth matter, right. So these are the five matters, terms and conditions. Main terms and conditions should be agreed between auditor and auditor. Right. Now we'll move on to this paragraph 21. Uh, 22, that is given detail. Number 21, agreeing the terms of audit engagement. According to the paragraph 9, terms and whatever terms and conditions agreed upon between both parties, on what basis? The role of management and those charged with governance in agreeing the terms of audit engagement for the entity depends on the governance structure of the entity and relevant law or regulations. So you can't simply agree these terms and conditions, terms, right? Based on the management structure and based on the law and law or legal regulations. Based on that, sometimes scope of audit. You can't simply determine the scope. You can't simply agree the scope. Some laws specify auditor should be carry out these are the work. So that is based on that we can develop or we can agree the scope. Understand? So this even though terms and conditions should be agreed upon between the both parties, that this depend on the management structure, organization structure or governance structure of the entity and relevant law or regulations. So that should be that is you must keep in mind when you agree the terms and engage. Right. This paragraph given uh, the why this engagement letter or purpose of this engagement letter, right? The examiner asks, what are the purpose of this engagement letter? The paragraph explain this. It is in the interest of both the entity and auditor. The auditor sent an audit engagement letter before commencement of the audit to help avoid misunderstanding with respect to the audit. Right? First reason, to avoid misunderstanding between auditor and auditee or management. This engagement letter should send before commencement of audit for the interest of both party. For the interest of both party, the one point is interest of both party. This engagement letter or terms and after agreed the terms and conditions, this letter is draft. This letter is draft and sent it to client before commencement of the audit. This letter is avoiding misunderstanding between auditor and auditee. So I am asking from you the preparation of this engagement letter. Who should prepare this letter? Management or auditor? ළමයි answer කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? කවුද preparation? Students? Students, can you answer this? Right. Boat is not visible. One message came, I will check out. Right. You should answer who should prepare the letter of engagement? Any students? කවුද prepare කරන්න ඕන? වගකීම කාටද තියෙන්නේ? I can't proceed unless you answer this. said before commencements of audit.
Auditor, sir.
Oh, very good, very good, very good. That after terms and conditions are agreed between both parties, this terms and conditions should be laid down in the form of written form. The responsibility of preparation is this letter is rest with the auditor. I will show you later. Management should acknowledge this letter before commencements of audit. Management so those charged with governance should acknowledge this. Understand? Right. I hope I am happy about this answer. This right. Right. That main purpose of this letter to avoid misunderstanding between auditor and audit with respect to the audit. In some countries, however, the objective and scope of an audit and responsibilities of the management and of the auditor may be sufficiently established by law. That is, they prescribe the matters described in the paragraph 10. Although in these circumstances, permit the auditor to include in the engagement letter only reference to the fact that relevant to law or regulations applies and that management acknowledge and understand its responsibilities as set out in paragraph 6b of the auditor may. Nevertheless, so what is given here, in some countries, the auditor's scope and responsibilities are laid down in the Act, relevant Act. Even though scope and objective of audit, responsibilities of the auditor, management responsibilities are laid down in the relevant law, still they are preferred to prepare this letter of engagement and acknowledged by management, right? So you can't say that that is already in the in the law regulations, but even other countries also they are adopting this procedure, right? Now we will come to form and contents of audit engagement letter, right? I think agreed the agreement of audit engagement terms, that is we discussed. There are 5 terms we discussed already. There are 5 terms we discussed that is commonly, right? Objective and scope of audit financial statement. One, objective and scope. Number 2, responsibilities of auditor. Number 3, responsibilities of management. Number 4, identification of applicable financial reporting framework. Number 5, reference to the expected contents of the audit report. Audit report or any other report. Contents of audit report or any other. According to paragraph 9, agreement of audit terms. These are the 5 terms you should agree. One is objective and scope, responsibility of the auditor, responsibility of the management, identification of financial reporting framework, contents of any other report and audit. These are the agreement should be agreed upon between both parties. Then we discussed the purpose of audit engagement letter. We discussed that is given in the detailed paragraph we discussed earlier, right? 22, I think. Para 22, A22. Purpose of engagement letter or advantages of letter of engagement. Now we will come to the main part of this uh, standard, form and contents of audit engagement letter. Form and contents of the engagement letter, right? Do you think that all contents are format and contents are same to all audit? This engagement letter, is it same? Standard letter පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? You should answer this. ආයතන වෙනස් කරන්නද or same? I don't know whether you can understand what I am asking. Same type of letter. Can you send all type of audit institutions? Do you think that format and contents are same all type of audit? All type of audit engagement letter. Your engagement letter you are sending to the one ministry. So we are not sending the ministries and department. The government auditor, public sector auditor, not practice is not there. This practice is mostly in the private firm, audit firm, right? So you are engaging the private companies audit or bank audit, private banks audit. Before commencements of audit, you should send this letter of engagement to the management. For example, commercial bank. This form and contents, is it same to one of the manufacturing companies' letter of engagement? No, not same, right? So we'll read this paragraph. The form and contents of the audit engagement letter may vary for each entity. Therunada, can you understand? This vary. That is depending on the entity. Understand?
Yeah, and we can add what lati.
Please mute. The form and contents of the audit engagement letter may vary for each entity. Information included in the engagement letter on the auditor's responsibility may be based on the Sri Lanka Auditing Standard 200, paragraph 6b, and 12 of this SLAUS deal with the description of the responsibility of the management. In addition to including the matters required by paragraph 10, audit engagement letter may make reference to the example, right? So the form and contents is very, the contents of the engagement letter may vary depend on the entity, right? That is given in the paragraph, certain paragraph, the standard, the responsibility is also given, right? But generally, form and contents are, these are the reference, the form and contents. What are the form and contents, right? So these are the form and contents of, there are certain matters, right? We have to discuss form and contents. You should note down that whenever I am explaining. The form is different type of format can be used to different depending on the entity. The contents is generally like this, according to the standard, like this. These are the contents. One is elaboration of the scope. In the letter, first paragraph, scope of the audit. When you giving a scope, you must give some reference to the law or regulations, right? Regulations, standard, ethical and other pronouncements, professional bodies requirements, audit adheres. These are the when you given the scope, you should give some reference, right? The first content is elaboration of the scope, right? First content is scope of scope means what? What do you think about scope? Kaureri Dhanwada, what is scope? Scope means extent of work. That is audit coverage, right? To achieve your audit objective, what are the audit procedures to be carried out in the course of audit? That is called scope. Understand? Scope kariyata dandona engagement letter. Nathan problem enava. Sometimes client may be blamed. These works are not done by the auditor. අපේ කියන්න පුළුවන් මේ අපේ ස්කෝප් එකේ ඉස්සලා දාලා තියෙන engagement letter මේ තමයි scope. කොහොමද determine කරන scope? Depending on the laws, rules, regulations and auditing standard requirements, ethical requirements, pronouncements given by the professional bodies. Based on that, scope is determined. Right. Second matter, second contents, form of any other communication of result of the audit engagement. Result of audit communication. What are the result of audit? That is audit report. How to communicate. So, right, those matters. Sometimes audit report, sometimes in addition to audit report, some other reports also we can give. So those matters, whatever the communication, sometimes some information sambandha, through sambandha communicate කරන්න ඕන. Audit query sambandha, right? මොන හරි communication එක detail ඔක්කොම දාන්න ඕන මෙතන, right? Engagement letter. That is a communications of the audit results and other communications. That is second contents. Third contents. අපිට හරියට කියන්න ඕන clients expect from auditor more, right? අපේ limitation මොකුත් තිබුණා අපි හරියට කියන්න ඕන to understand the client. The fact that because of the inherent limitation of an audit, together with the inherent limitation of internal control, there is an unavoidable risk, unavoidable risk that some material misstatement may not be detected, even though audit is properly planned and performed in accordance with Sri Lanka auditing standard. අපි මේ වාචනාව දෙන්න ඕන. Otherwise, clients expect from auditor every වංචාව වැරදි ඔක්කොම auditor තමයි අල්ලගන්න ඕන. auditor තමයි detect කරන්න ඕන. Right? As I said earlier, this assurance is a reasonable assurance, not an absolute assurance. Understand? Due to the limitation, inherent limitation of audit, limitation of audit, to the inherent limitation of internal control system, right? This is an unavoidable risk that some material misstatements may not be detected, may not be detected. கண்டுபிடிக்க முடியாம போகலாம். Audit is, even though audit is properly planned, properly performed in accordance with Sri Lanka auditing standard. හරියට කරන්න අපි beginner ඔක්කොම හරියට plan කරන්න but some වැරදි වංචාව අල්ලගන්න බෑ. கண்டுபிடிக்க முடியாம. Why? This is an unavoidable risk due to inherent limitation in audit and limitation of the internal control system. Management or client හරියට දැනගන්න ඕන. ඒ නිසා තමයි මේ paragraph include කරන්න ඕන letter of engagement. Understand? This is the limitation of audit. Okay? Third matter, limitation of audit. That is we are giving reasonable assurance. I already explained. අපි දෙන්න බෑ. Absolute assurance දෙන්න බෑ. There are some reasons. Right. Other contents, that is fourth content, arrangement regarding planning and performing of audit, including composition of the audit team. Beginner Patangarana, when we are going to start the audit, when we are complete the audit, when we can enable to submit these reports. ඒක විස්තර ඔක්කොම දාන්න ඕන මෙතන. Right? Planning, performing the audit. Right? Planning and performing the audit. Audit including the composition of the audit team. Composition of the audit team means අපේ audit team මේ ආයතන මේ බැංකුවට audit team කොච්චර members, how many members are there, how many senior auditors, how many chartered accountants, how many junior auditors, how many audit assistants. This is called composition of audit. Those matters are also given in the letter of engagement. How many the expertise, see how many competent officers, how many junior officers, all these matters are given in this letter of engagement. Then expectation that management will provide written representation. So request for the written representation also included here. Sometime during the course of audit, auditor needs to get some representations from management. This is called representation letter, management representation letter. Sometimes certain things not agree with the auditor. So auditor later he can ask from the management this representation letter. Sometimes university balance statement there are 150 motor vehicles. Auditors check karna kota 25 motor vehicles are shortage. Verification karna verification means existence balance owner. Ayatana ownership balance owner Venus existence 150 shown in the financial statement according to the fixed asset schedule. Auditor Dhanagandona make a 150 Vahana universities premises is available. Count Karuna Kota 25 type of vehicles. Whenever a Jali vehicle shortage. Management says these vehicles are in the garage. Some are in the garage in Kalambu, some are Vaticalo, some are Jaffna garage. Evage management oral reply dunne. Sometime auditor may ask from the management, ask to give a representation letter. Means spectacle in writing then no. Sometime auditor can go to Jaffna, the Vaticalo and Kalambu visit karna count karna puluan. Sometime if it is not possible, he can ask from the management to give a representation letter. Likewise, certain matters needed, auditors needed the representation letter. So those matters also included here in the contents of the engagement letter. Right? Then other matter, the agreement of management to make available to the auditor draft financial statement and any accompanying other information in time to allow the auditor to complete the audit in accordance with the proposed timetable. Asks management from the management submit the draft financial statement. What is the draft? Before finalized draft financial statement. After some time after issuing the draft, auditors ask you to correct this. So some improvement, some disclosures to be made. So after that, finally they corrected this one and issued as a final financial statement. So if it is necessary to draft financial statement, right? Then other factors, the agreement of management to inform the auditor of fact that may affect the financial statement of which management may become aware during the period from the date of the auditor's report to the date of financial statements are issued. Some agreement between the management and auditor, management should ensure that the management should aware that during the period from the date of auditor's report to the date of the financial statements are issued, up to the financial statement are issued, all the matters, facts, and every transaction, management should thoroughly aware. This agreement should be management aware, awareness of management. Before the last one, other important matter, audit fees. How much the audit fees? Kanangar and owner. How to compute the audit fees? This is a professional fees charged by the auditor unless otherwise this matter is not given in the engagement letter, after completing the audit, there may be a problem between the auditor and auditee. So management should aware how to compute this fees. What is the fees? Samanya koma the audit fees calculate current, not on the basis of profit. This is a professional fees depending on the professional person. Like doctors charge karan one consultant charging sometime 3,000 rupees particular. 2,000 rupees, same doctor, same qualified doctor, same that same qualification. Other doctor charging Jaffna 2,000. In Colombo 3,500 consulting fees, depending on the person. And likewise, this fees is depending on the professional service. Actually, this basis of uh, computation should be given in the letter of engagement. Samanya, how many man hours taken to carry out this work, how much of resources utilized, stationaries and other things, and traveling expenses, incidental expenses. Based on that, how many kilometers traveled by the auditor, how many they are lodging and other things, right? Based on that, the fees is computed. So here, the basis of fees, the basis on which fees are computed and may billing arrangement, how the bill. Then last one is last matter is a request from the management. Acknowledge. Yeah, auditor asking if you agree with all these contents, all these terms and conditions, agree karanwana, acknowledge karan. That request also given in this letter. So basically, contents of this letter, engagement letters are this: scope of the auditor, uh, uh, sometimes auditor's responsibilities, management responsibilities, right? Results of the audit, communications, limitation of audit, that planning and performing the audit, composition of the audit team, written representation from management, that fact, draft reports matters, that until the financial statement submit to audit up to the date, or management should aware this all these transaction and events. Then how to compute the audit fees and how to billing, and request from the management to acknowledge. These are the matters included in the form and content, right? Uh, I hope you understood this matter. Students, students, this form and contents, if you want to refer, there is a example, right? There's an example letter is there, right? In the bottom of the standard, right? Example of an audit engagement letter in given appendix, right? Appendix here, the address to the management. I am not going in detail, right? The detailed explanation is given, right? I don't know whether if I say you read it, you are reading or not. I don't know, right? So I am quickly reading whatever I explained here is laid down here, right? So this is a letter. Yuma komada liandona, right? Eka main points එක දාලා තියෙන මෙතන. right? எல்லா main points இதுல குறிப்பிடப்பட்டிருக்கு. அது எப்படி எழுதுறது கடிதத்திலே என்றது කොහොමද මේක contents එක පාවිච්චි කරන්න මෙතන විමත් දාලා තියෙන example format இதுல கொடுத்திருக்கு. நீங்க அதை வாசிச்சா Gulangam, if you read it, you can easily understand what I explained, right? So you are not expected to testing the drafting this letter of engagement, but you should know what are the contents, and you should thoroughly understand these contents details, right? So here, basically, this letter is addressed to whom? Addressed to whom? Samanya limited liability company na කාටද address කරන්න ඕන? Students, sometime ලියුමක් දුන්න නම් exam purpose එක මේක වැරදි address තාලා තිබුණා ඔකොල්ලෝ correct කරන්න ඕන හරියට. නැත්නම් no marks. කාටද address කරන්න ඕන? If it is a limited liability company, the addressee should be to the appropriate representative of the management or those charged with governance of the ABC company. Right? The governing body, board of directors. Right? First paragraph, the objective and scope of audit. මේක තමයි අපි discuss කරනවා. Right? First again. පළවෙනි sentence is this. Mama, I explained. Here you can read it and understand. Here I will read it. You have requested that we audit the financial statement of ABC company, which comprise the balance sheet as of December 31st, 2001, and the income statement, statement of changes in equity, and cash flow statement for the then year ended, and summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. We are pleased to confirm our acceptance and our understanding of this audit engagement by means of this letter. Our audit will be conducted with the objective of our expressing an opinion on the financial statement. Right? මේකට මෙතන දාලා තියෙන objective. මොනවද objective? Express an opinion on the financial statement. මොනවද scope? මොන සම්බන්ධ audit කරන්න? Financial statement, cash flow statement, income statement ඔක්කොම accounting policies, explanatory information ඔක්කොම දුන්නේ audit එක. ඔක්කොම audit කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒක තමයි scope එක. Right? Then I hope you can understand this. The second one, responsibility of the auditor. වගකීම the auditor's responsibility. කණකායිවාලට පොරොප්පු. Right? In the කඩිදத்துல we will conduct our audit in accordance with Sri Lanka auditing standard. අපි audit කරනවා based on the Sri Lanka auditing standard. Those standards require that we comply with the ethical requirements and plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement. An audit involves performing procedures to obtain audit evidence about the amounts and disclosures in the financial statement. The procedures selected depend on the auditor's judgment, including the assessment of the risk of material misstatement of the financial statement, whether due to fraud or error. An audit also includes evaluating the appropriateness of the accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates made by management, as well as evaluating the overall presentation of the financial statement. ඕගොල්ලෝගේ responsibilities, auditors responsibilities දානකොට මොන කියන්න ඕන? What include? What are the informations include in the auditor's responsibility? Auditors කියන්න ඕන audit was carried out in accordance with Sri Lanka auditing standard. That first one. Then ethical requirements are apply kara. Ethical requirements form of the plan, form of the performing the audit, a sambandha. Then auditor කියන්න we are giving reasonable assurance. Reasonable assurance whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement, right? Audit involves තනිම audit විතරයි නෙවෙයි. Audit involves performing procedures to obtaining audit evidence. Audit evidence සාක්ෂිය ගන්නකොට lot of procedures, inspection, inquiries, observation, confirmation, computations, analytical procedures. So many audit procedures, evidence obtaining procedures are there, right? ඔක්කොම අපි performing the procedure to obtain audit evidence. Right, so those procedures about the amount and disclose in the financial statement. The procedures selected depend on the auditor's judgment. Based on the judgment and including the assessment of audit risk, අවදාන වැඩි නම් අපි ගොඩක් procedure ගන්න ඕන. Right? Depending on assessment of risk assessment procedure, right? An audit also including evaluating appropriateness of the accounting policies used. Audit මොන මේ සම්බන්ධ appropriateness accounting policies used තන check කරන්න ඕන. Reasonableness of accounting estimates. Sometimes accounting estimates depreciation. You may estimate 10% for the vehicle based on the 10 years useful value, 10%. But sometimes this vehicle is used more than 15 years. The estimate is wrong. Sometimes computers may be 20% based on the life value. But sometimes computer may be used for the more than 5 years, 6 or 7 years, but already depreciated. That estimates are wrong. So we are saying that reasonableness of the accounting estimates made by the management and as well as evaluating the overall presentation of the financial statement. Overall presentation based on the accounting standard, right? Then මොන අපේ auditors responsibilities ඔක්කොම මෙතන අතු කරන්න ඕන. All auditors responsibilities should be given here in summarized form. Later we are giving because of the inherent limitation of audit together with the inherent limitation of internal control system. There is an unavoidable risk that some material misstatements may not be detected. I explained earlier. Even though audit is properly planned and performed in accordance with the Sri Lanka audit standard. When we following the auditing standard for performing the audit, still there is a unavoidable, the fraud or errors are possible, unable to detect. So misstatements are possible. That fact, because of the inherent limitation of the audit and inherent limitation of the internal control system. So that fact also given to the client to understand about this audit. Then risk assessment, based on the risk assessment, right? However, that in making our risk assessment, we consider the internal control relevant to the entity's preparation of the financial statement in order to design the audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the entity's internal control. So we are assessing the internal control system. So based on the assessment on the internal control system, that we are determine the audit procedures. That fact also given explained here. Then about other communications, deficiencies in the internal control, how to communicate. That is a separate. That however, we will communicate to you in writing concerning any significant deficiencies in internal control relevant to the audit of the financial statement that we have identified during the year. Monamona internal control weaknesses identified, we are giving or we are communicating separately. That is called letter of engagement or letter of weaknesses, right? So all these are the comes under the auditor's responsibility, right? Our audit will be conducted on the basis of that acknowledge and understand that they have responsibility. That this is management responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statement in accordance with the accounting standard. Then financial statement, it is a precondition we discussed. These are the preconditions repeated. Here we are requesting, we look forward to full cooperation from your staff during our audit. Other relevant informations, arrangement of billing and other specific terms as appropriate. Insert appropriate reference to expected form and contents of the auditor's report. Report Samantha Ragandona. And the last, please sign and return the attached copy of this letter to indicate your acknowledgement. The agreement with the arrangement for our audit of the financial statement, including our respective responsibilities. XYZ and Company Chartered Accountants. After signing Chartered Accountant, their acknowledgement and agreed on behalf of the ABC company signed by the board of directors or their date, everything is there, right? These are the format of letter of engagement. If you are familiar with this, now you know how to write this letter of engagement and what are the form and forms is depending on the auditee entity, right? Contents, there are eight or nine contents, right? That is included in the letter of engagement. Then two more matters we had to right. Right. I hope you can understand formal contents of audit report. Sorry, letter of engagement. Then when relevant, according to the standard, when relevant, what are the points to be included in the letter of engagement? The paragraph 24, A24. When relevant, the following points could also be made in the audit engagement letter. One is arrangement concerning the involvement of other auditors and experts in some aspects of the audit. When other auditors on and sometimes branches in overseas country, sometime other part of the country. So some other auditors involvement that fact include current owner, sometime expert owner and sometime professional valuers, technical problem, scientific problem resolved the auditors are not familiar with this. Sometimes expert needed knowledge, the valuation especially. So auditors not always having those knowledge, right? If this building wall is improperly constructed, auditors can't say this building is mixer is wrong. Auditors only get an expert engineer, civil engineer, and ask the report whether testing after testing the mixer is properly put it in the building. So that is why the sometime expert involvements necessary. Those arrangements also included in this letter. Then arrangements involving and the arrangement concerning the involvement of internal auditors and other staff of the entity. So Monohari internal auditors uh, involvement is necessary. Those that also included in this letter. Then arrangement to be made with the predecessor auditor, if any, in the case of initial audit. If last 5 years, some other audit firms are carried out this company's audit. This 6 years, we are the auditors. So sometimes it's necessary to communicate to resolve certain matters to the predecessor auditor. Those arrangements also included in this letter. So these three, other one is arrangement made involvement of the internal auditors and other staff, arrangement made the predecessor auditor, any restriction made, restriction of the auditor's liability when such possibility arise, any restriction arise the auditor's liability, that also, then reference to any further agreement between auditor and entity. That fact also, these five matters, when relevant, included in the letter of engagement. These 5 matters, right? 5 matters, when relevant. Arrangement concerning involvement of the other auditors and expert, arrangement concerning involvement of the internal auditors and other staff, arrangement made to be made with the predecessor auditor, in any case, in the initial auditor, in the case of initial auditor, restriction of the auditor's liability when such possibility exists, reference to any further agreement between the auditor and the entity. Those matters, when relevant, uh, should be included, and obligation to provide audit working papers to other party. So any obligation, the working papers means that is property of the auditors. He can't. He, that is unless the legal purpose only he can disclose to others. So sometimes any obligations arise, but circumstances can be disclosed. These working papers, that fact also. One when relevant. These are the six matters included when relevant in the letter of engagement. Then audit of components. The before the last one, audit of components. Audit of components means one within the company there are some other companies, group companies or foreign branches. When the auditor of the parent entity is also auditor of the component, the facts that may influence the decisions whether to send a separate audit engagement letter to the components include the following. If you are send engagement letter to the parent's company, that is enough. But some circumstances needed or request to send a separate engagement letter to the group companies or subsidiary companies or components. So depending according to the standard, depending on these factors, auditor can decide whether to send a separate engagement letter to the components. First, who appoint the components auditor? The parent company is appointed component auditor? I think not necessary. So sometimes component is itself appoint the auditor. So separate letter is necessary, depending on this factor. Right? Who appoints the component auditor? whether the separate auditor's report is to be issued on the component. That's the second fact. Third fact, legal requirements in relation to the audit appointments. Fourth, degree of ownership by parents. Degree of ownership by parents. Degree of independence of the components management from the parents entity. These are the five, one, two, three, four, five matters. The five factors decide or influence the decision whether to send a separate audit engagement letter, right? So this is the components, right? So whether to send a separate audit engagement letter to the component, right? Examiner will ask, there are some questions tested, the public exams, professional exams, university exams, right? In the case of component, the decisions whether to send a separate engagement letter to the components, in the case of components, what are the factors influence, right? So these five factors you should list out, right? Then last one, the recurring audit. Recurring audit, as I said earlier, recurring audit means audit firm is appointed to the company for the audit each and every year, not change. Right? Auditors are changed according to the legal requirement. Some companies act, certain provisions are given to remove the auditor and appointment of new auditor. You can't simply remove the auditors. But if you are an auditor of the company, so continuously from the 2005 to 2022, you are the auditor. Is it necessary to issue a new engagement letter each and every financial? Can you answer this? Generally not necessary. Generally not necessary unless otherwise client may be misunderstood the terms and conditions. But auditing standards, the standards 210 provides some guidance. These are the circumstances or these are the factors necessitate to appropriate, to revise the terms and audit engagement letter or remind the letter. Remind, same letter you can පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන් නැත්නම් revise කරන්න ඕන. In the case of recurring audit means same auditor is carrying out audit for the particular organization, right? So basically, these are the factors. The auditor may decide not to send a new engagement letter or other written agreement each period. However, the following factors may make it appropriate to revise the terms of audit engagement or to remind the entity of existing term. Existing term already there in the first engagement letter. ඔයා පටන් කරන්න 2020. This year 2000 financial year 2022. Last 2 years terms and conditions same now. May that letter of engagement given 2 years ago, that is පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. Not necessary to send a new letter. But auditing standards state these are the factors appropriate to decide the new letter. These are the factors to appropriate to decide to send a new letter. Right? Number one, any indication that entity misunderstand the objective and scope of audit. මොනහරි misunderstanding තිබුණා නම් scope and objective of audit already දාලා තියෙනනේ අපි read කරා මම read කරා objective of audit scope of audit objective of audit is expressing an opinion on the financial statement scope මොන better extent of work some misunderstanding is there so we have to even though recurring audit new engagement letter should be sent. Second one, any revised or special terms of audit entry. Some revised terms needed to include it, right? Because of the circular instruction or legal instruction. So, certain things to be included, the terms, right? Revised terms. So, you have to give a new letter. Then, recent change of senior management. ඔක්කොම board of directors, ඔක්කොම governing body, ඔක්කොම අයින් කරා. New board of directors, new governing body is appointed. So it is necessary to send a new engagement letter in the case of recurring audit. Then significant change in ownership. Ownership මාරු කරන්න new engagement letter owner, even though recurring audit. A significant change in nature or size of the entity's business. Sometimes අපේ රටවල company ඉස්සලා earlier the company functioned within the country island. Now country is expanded. That overseas branches also there. Size of the business expanded. Right? Nature of the business, entities businesses significant changes. So the new terms is necessary. So we must think about the new letter of engagement. A change in legal or regulatory requirements based on the legal requirements or regulatory requirements. In the case of recurring audit, new engagement letter is necessary. The change in financial reporting framework adapted in the preparation of financial statement. ආයතනයේ financial reporting framework මාරු කරන්න නම් පරණ engagement letter වැඩක් නැහැ. New engagement letter according to the standard it is appropriate to send a new engagement letter. Then a change in other reporting requirements, right? Other than the audit report, whenever a reports needed to submit by the auditor, due to that reason, the new engagement letter should be sent by the auditor to client, even though the recurring audit. So, these are the seven factors that is given in paragraph 28. Seven reasons, right, or seven factors make it appropriate to revise the terms of audit engagement or remind the entities of existing terms. So based on these seven factors, in the case of recurring audit, auditors think about new engagement letter, right? So I hope you all understood what I covered in this standard, right? You must carefully study these contents of the standard. The first, we discussed the objective of the standard. Second one, there are three preconditions for this uh, audit. Precondition. Without preconditions, you can't agree the terms and both parties, auditor and auditee, come to an agreed the terms and conditions. So this should be understood. This preconditions. The definition also given. What is precondition in the standard itself? You can find what is the definition of preconditions. So these are the preconditions according to the standard to fulfill, to commence the audit or draft the audit engagement letter. Then agreement of audit engagement letter, agreement of audit engagement letter terms. These are the five terms important. One is objective and scope, responsibility of the auditor, responsibility of the management, financial reporting framework, reference to other audit requirements. Generally, these five terms to be included in the when you agree the terms, right? So auditor and auditee should agree the scope and objective, should agree the auditor's responsibilities, should agree the management responsibilities, agree the financial reporting framework, and other reports to be issued other than the audit. So those are the terms should be agreed between both parties. Then paragraph 822 clearly explain what are the purpose of this letter of engagement. Several exams they are testing benefit of the audit engagement letter, advantages of the engagement letter. So many every textbook you can find the purpose of audit engagement letter in the standard itself also given purpose of the engagement letter mainly to avoid misunderstanding between auditor and auditee. That is why this letter of engagement is prepared. Then the planning, performing, and reporting the audit work results according to the auditing standard. That is why, uh, otherwise, there's a misunderstanding between the auditor and auditee. Even though the disputes comes easily resolved, unless otherwise the letter of engagement is available, it is difficult to resolve these disputes. So that is why letter of engagement is there. The standard is giving guidance how to prepare this the letter of engagement. So for the purpose of this letter of engagement, you should clearly understand. Then when relevant, what are the points to be included? The form and contents. Sorry, form and contents. I explained these are the form and contents, right? Form and contents, and I explained the example letter also. After I explained the example letter how to describe the scope of the audit and objective of audit, how to result of audit communicate, limitation of audit, reasonable assurance, planning and performing audit, composition of audit teams, written representation, draft report, awareness of management, audit fees, and request from the management acknowledgement. So these are the form and contents. When relevant, what are the points to be included? There are 6 points when relevant. In addition to this contents, other contents also there. There are when relevant only those points could be included. The audit of components, right? Decision whether to send a separate engagement letter depending on these certain factors. Certain 5 or 6 factors. You can decide to issue the separate engagement letter for the components, right? Then recurring audit to influence certain factors, 7 factors influence to appropriate new engagement letter in the case of recurring audit, right? So you must memorize everything, right? You can, I hope I covered this standard almost. I covered this standard. Uh, time is not permitted to drop them some questions. I try to give some important questions only, right? Please take write down. Otherwise, I will forget. Uh, Write down. Briefly explain. Briefly explain the term. Briefly explain the term. Students, are you writing? Students, are you ready to write or you have gone for lunch? No answer. Yes. Right. One students responded writing. Okay, thank you. We'll start. I try to finish so within 10 minutes. I try to finish within 10 minutes. Uh, Briefly explain the term uh, preconditions, precondition for audit. Briefly explain the term preconditions audit. Second one, briefly explain how the auditor, how the auditor can check whether how the auditor check whether the precondition for an audit are present. Precondition for audit are present. Uh, next, next one. What are the purpose of letter of engagement? What are the purposes of letter of engagement? Shall I move? What are the purposes of letter of engagement? One student asked me to repeat earlier one. Uh, Precondition. One student asked me to repeat the earlier question regarding, I think, how the auditor check whether the precondition for an audit are present. So next one, next one, uh, next one. What are the purposes of letter of engagement? Another one. What is the question number? Question number, students. Question number. Uh, Number 4. Right. Fine. Thank you. Uh, uh, Next question number 4. List form and contents of engagement letter. List form and contents of engagement letter. List form and contents of engagement letter. Next one. Uh, when relevant, when relevant, when relevant, what are the points? What are the points? When relevant, what are the points? May included, may included. What are the points may included in the letter of engagement? Next one, what are the factors? What are the factors that may influence? What are the factors that may influence the decision whether to send a separate audit engagement letter? What are the factors that may influence the decision whether to send a separate audit engagement letter to the component? To the component. last one. Last one, in the case of recurring audit, in the case of recurring audit, in the case of recurring audit, what are the factors may make it appropriate? What are the factors may make it appropriate? What are the factors may make it appropriate to revise the terms of the audit engagement, to revise the terms of audit engagement to revise the terms of audit engagement, or to remind the entity of existing terms, or to remind the entity of existing terms. And I am repeating last question. In the case of recurring audit, what are the factors may make it appropriate to revise the terms of audit engagement, or to remind the entity of existing terms? Uh, I think all you have written. How many questions I have given today, students?
7.
7 altogether.
31.
31. Fine. So we'll wind up today's class. We'll move on to next lecture relating to the documentation 230 and audit evidence 500. We try to complete those standards. Documentation, the fraud and error, documentation, and audit evidence. I want to know from you that when is the exam schedule? Which month you are that your study leave? Which month schedule examination schedule? You should know, no? Students, when is your study leave? Still not decide. I think out of 45 lecture hours, I think today 8 hours or 9 hours or 8 hours only finish. But we had to complete remaining part as early as possible. That is why I am asking. If possible, we can fix the class, 2 classes per week. That is why I am asking from you. If we expedite, we can finish it as early as possible. You don't know the exam schedule? One person is August 6th will start the study leave. July, August. So we have only limited time, so it is possible to have this July month 2 lectures per week. Uh, Please ask your student rep to communicate with me, right? Will with your convenient, we will fix the class. Please contact student rep. Shall we wind up? Do you have any comments, students? Shall we wind up? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any comments? No comments. Okay. We'll wind up today's class. We will think about to have additional class, one more class additionally. Right. Please contact student rep as early as possible. Thank you very much. We'll wind up.